Raise your hand only if you have a question.
So my question is basically just about jobs. You mentioned before that uh, having a boss is pretty non-ideal in terms of seeking truth. Um, so I was just wondering what role you think self-employment plays in being free enough to seek the truth. If you think it's
Well, why are you asking the question?
um,
How is it going to affect what you do?
um, because I think, well, depending on your answer or your perception, um, maybe I would be more likely to strike out on my own rather than involving other people. I'm wondering.
But why does it matter what I say? Because I never recommended that someone become self-employed versus working for a boss. Whatever things I say, people understandably misinterpret them because they view them from the standpoint of what they are used to hearing in the world. And so if I say something, they view it as me condemning it. You have to really go by what is it that you're looking for, as opposed to doing something that's right. I mean, if you become self-employed, I mean, you phrased it such that I think your phrasing was that I said that having a boss is not ideal as far as seeking truth. Well, you could be self-employed all day long, and that has nothing to do with seeking truth either. So it isn't like a self-employed individual is at a higher advantage of seeking truth. So I'm not really understanding the impetus of the question. If what you do is based upon what I say, then it isn't coming from you.
Right. I I guess I've just noticed personally myself that um, if I'm owned or controlled in some way by someone, like my time is owned or controlled in some way by someone, then it tends to have a suppressive effect on everything else I do. So I um, and
And then there's obviously, logical. There's a logical basis for that. That is, that definitely, you know, what you have said makes sense. There's logic in that. If someone tells you, what to do, where to go, how many weeks of vacation you can have, what time you have to come in and leave, and so forth. But I guess it would depend upon how different things would be if you were self-employed, and obviously the boss would change, um, from someone else being your boss to be you being so-called your own boss. But I suppose, sometimes people have a fantasy that things are going to be very different when they're their own boss, and sometimes that's true, sometimes it isn't. So just changing the boss, if that's the only difference, without really knowing what you're going to do and how that's going to um, play out for you, it you may not it may not turn out the way that you think it'll turn out if you believe that just changing the boss might make a massive difference. And I'm not saying it will or it won't. I'm just saying a lot of times people make these assumptions, that making a change, from one thing to another, will give them X, but oftentimes it doesn't. It might, but it may not.
right. Um, yeah, I guess I've just had success in the past with finding like the thing that I usually there's like one or two things that by eliminating those things, it kind of changes everything else in a really big way. And right now I'm kind of stuck in the phase of trying to figure out what those things are in this particular area of my life. And one strong candidate just seems like not having someone else being able to tell me what to do. But even if I was self-employed, then I would have clients telling me what to do in a sense. So it seems like anytime money's involved, there is some degree of compromise. I guess that would maybe be a smarter version of the question, is how do you avoid compromising while still making money?
Yeah, that's a non-starter. It doesn't go anywhere, because then that's coming down to a prescription that you're asking for, and
Right.
that won't go anywhere. So, but it looks like you have some working out to do in your own mind before jumping to any sort of changes.
Hello. When someone wants something deeply and desperately, thinking about it every night and every morning, but as the day goes on and they get into the cycles and routines of the day, be it work, socializing, etc., and the desire seems to go away, what is that? Why does the mind do that? And is sincerity only possible when one is isolated from these so-called mood shifting or intensity reducing elements of life? Thank you.
Why do you ask the question?
I think these so-called elements of life seem to provide a big obstacle in getting me to my goals.
So if you were bleeding out on the floor, would the socialization obstacles get in your way from getting to the emergency room?
Maybe not, but sometimes if they're necessary in the case of work.
Wait. Maybe not. Maybe not.
Not in that case.
Okay. So then don't say maybe. Use your words very carefully. Don't put words in that don't have any meaning. So you said maybe not. So if you're going to choose words, choose the appropriate words of what you want to say, unless you genuinely meant maybe not. Unless you genuinely meant that maybe you would allow yourself to bleed out because you had to go to a socialization party or something. Would you do that? And I'm not browbeating you. I'm asking you, would you do that?
No.
So then it can't be the social impediments and the things that you mentioned, the distractions of the day, which are the real problem. If I gave you an example and you said that in that example, the socializations would not be a problem. So the socializations can't be the problem then. Is that fair? And you don't have to agree with me. I'm using second grade logic here. You gave one example, which was your beginning example, in which you said that you were desirous of something day and night, and yet throughout the day the socialization gets in the way, and that lessens the desire. And then I gave you an example, and you said, well, in that example, no amount of socialization would ever get in the way. So then that means the socialization can't be the problem.
That's right.
What exactly does pure desire mean? I've been trying to arrive at my purest desire, but somehow.
Why are you trying to arrive at your purest desire?
Because maybe I want to get somewhere. Maybe because I need something.
But why? What is it that drew you to having or wanting a pure desire?
Because I feel if I have a purest desire, I don't need anything else, any sort of motivations or prescriptions or anything to achieve that desire, or to achieve that one thing which I want. Because right now, everything I put my hands into.
But then are you not going down the road of, if your desire is pure, then you're using purity as a prescription?
Yeah, I think so.
So what? And there's some things that I'm going to say that are evergreen. They're just not ever going to go away because with each new human being that is born upon this earth, on the precipice of being conditioned and brainwashed like an assembly line. That's never going to end. And so, one of the things that's never going to end, as far as needing to be mentioned, is that it's never going to end that people are going to prescriptionize what I say, no matter the fact that I don't give any prescriptions. And that, once again, isn't a fault, but that is the evidence of conditioning. That is the residue and the remnants of conditioning, because everything in the world that you do, you are being given a how to. You are being given a message. You are being led somewhere with something to do because that's correct and proper and right and moral and good and healthy and good for you and all this stuff. And so that's how you've been brainwashed. Therefore, you when you come to my work, you're going to bring that same brain. You're not going to get a new brain. You're not going to have a brain transplant before you read my work. You're not going to have a mind transplant before you read my work. So you're going to bring all of those brainwashings over here, and then you're going to read it through the lens of what are the actionable things? What things should I write down and make sure that I do? Because that's good and that's not, and that's pure and that's not pure. And that's never going to end. And so this is yet another example. I'm not putting you on the spot or anything. I'm just telling you this is what happens. You're not the only one. In fact, every single human being is going to do this. Um, they're going to turn it into something that they should be doing. And that has to become, to a sincere person, if you want sincerity, the sincerity is in recognizing that you are prescriptionizing my work. And in prescriptionizing my words, you're just replacing one thing for another. Then now, instead of chasing X, now you're chasing Y. So it doesn't change anything. So as long as one can be cognizant of that, then they don't use words as the idiotic sort of, you know, in the idiotic approach of actionable advice.
Hi, Kapil. In regard to the understanding of the idea of there's nowhere to go, nothing really to say, and nothing really to do, upon...
But where did you get that?
First of all, I've got it from you multiple times. Recently, I got it from someone I highly respected. And the whole point is that when I hear these exact words, it fills me with a very peculiar feeling, like a gentle internal giggle that can last up to 10 minutes. But very shortly after, 30, 40 minutes later, it feels very scary. And I really, what is really going on? Like when I hear those words, something simply odd happens within me, where I want to laugh. I can't even describe the feeling, if I'm being honest with you.
But see, it doesn't matter, because unless something is in your experience, and unless something is founded in your own discovery, there's no point in listening to me or anybody else. My work is never about listen to me. In fact, I go out of my way to say don't listen to me, because if you listen to me too closely, you're going to prescriptionize what I say, and then you're not going to hear anything anyways. So I just delineate truths, right? There's nothing about it which says that you should follow this truth, and to make sure that you believe this, and make sure you agree with this, and make sure that you write this down. Like, that is so far away from what I do in my work. And that's why the first question I asked you was, where did you hear this? I know that you read it somewhere in what I was writing, and perhaps somewhere else too. But the point I was making is that unless it's your own, just because I say it, people come on, they ask me, well, you said X, Y, and Z, and so I'm wondering, how I should do X, Y, and Z. And my first response is always, well, why did you listen to me? Like, first of all, I can guarantee you that I never told you to do X, Y, and Z. I just delineated that X, Y, and Z might be the truth. But I never said that you should do it. So if you're doing something because I said so, if you're believing me, you're on the wrong track, because belief is nonsense. Belief is garbage. Belief is trash. Belief and opinion has no reality. It is fantasy land. The only things the only things that mean something, the only things that have the possibility of taking you somewhere are things that, yes, you might have read them, fine, but they they were subsequently detected in your own experience. They were verified by you. You didn't just pluck the belief and shortcutted it, and then now you're just going with the belief because you read it. And that's really the problem with the entire world. I mean, from intellectualism to spirituality to self help to you name it, it's all garbage. And the reason it's all garbage, it is based upon belief systems. It is based upon you read X from X individual, some influencer or somebody, and then because they said it, you put it in your pocket. And then you have lectures and conferences and these idiotic, stupid things that have no meaning, just people talking at you. And so you have what you get is a legion of puppets, a legion of parrots who are wonderful at memorizing, who are wonderful at parroting material that they have heard, who can recite to you the quote from some famous book that some idiotic author got and wrote on the bestseller list. And they pass that around at cocktail parties because it makes them sound smart because they're well read. And so wisdom comes from understanding that never should you believe anybody, anybody. Everything in your life, anything that you read or listen to or hear should be garbage out of the gate unless you come to that on your own. Doesn't only reading it, nothing wrong with having heard it or read it somewhere, that's fine. But if you go straight to belief and opinion and acceptance and all this garbage stuff that this entire world is filled with, this entire world is nothing but garbage. Every book should be burned. All speakers should be thrown off stage. No one should be talking about anything. There's only truth. And truth is never something to be believed or accepted or agreed with.
Can I just add something?
Nothing to add.
Hello, Mr. Kapil. I want to ask you about for legends, for the creation of legends. Do you believe that? I want to hear your explanation on that, if that's possible.
I'm sorry. I didn't understand what you.
All right.
The word that you.
Do you believe that legends are contrarian and at the same time they are right? I want to hear your thoughts on this.
I mean, there's no blanket statement about anything. Everything is individualized. But one thing you can say that if someone becomes a legend, they aren't doing the same old crap that everybody else is doing, right? I mean, I think that's a very sort of basic statement that you can make. Because if someone is run of the mill, if someone is garden variety, if someone is doing what everybody else is doing, then the chances of them becoming a legend are basically zero. So I guess that's a fairly safe statement to make.
Hi, Kapil. I think I understand what you mean when you say that the mind is an endless pleasure chase, and everything, including my mind, is actually false. I see that when I'm doing certain tasks, when I'm not under pressure and I'm like taking a walk, I try to be vigilant about my thoughts that arise to make sure that I shoot them.
So what does that mean, to be vigilant about your thoughts? Why would you do? First of all, what do you mean by that? And secondly, why would you do that?
I feel that the mind will put me into its endless spell. I just keep thinking about a thought and then another thought arises and it just.
So what do you mean by vigilant about my thoughts?
I try to see the moment it arises and if I see that it arises and if I realize that, then it kind of shuts down. So that's what I mean by being vigilant. Like when I am very if I'm fully aware of everything that is happening, and
why do you want to shut down?
because it is just an endless cycle of reactivity.
But isn't it also not an endless cycle of reactivity for you to be then vigilant about your thoughts?
It is okay.
I'm not saying you should or shouldn't do it.
Okay.
I'm simply asking you questions.
Yeah. It is. I think I am being reactive in terms of not wanting to fall into the spell of thoughts.
And where did you pick that up from?
When I read your books, the Atmaman book, I felt it was true that everything that I do is always an endless chase, and I feel that at least my mind is just keeps going on in circles all the time.
But where did you? But that's not what I asked. I said, where did you pick up? I meant, where did you pick up this notion that you should watch your thoughts or be vigilant about your thoughts?
So two places, I think. One place is that I mentioned that realized I think in one of your talks you mentioned that a realized person is one who has his thoughts. His thoughts are like his mind is like his pet, and he can kind of use it and not use it whenever he chooses. And
yes, but that isn't done prescriptively. That isn't done by watching your thoughts.
I see. Okay.
Because I don't. Mm-hmm. I never said that you should watch your thoughts. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that you should do or not do what I say. I'm asking you, where did you pick that notion up from that you should watch your thoughts and be vigilant about your thoughts?
It's very hard for me to point out where I've picked it up because I've read a lot of the Theravadan Buddhist.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was expecting. That you picked it up in the world of spirituality, and this once again is another example that I'm illustrating as the same as a previous questioner of just how deeply everyone is conditioned. These things are not your own. You pick them up.
Okay, I see.
Hello, Kapil. I recently got accepted into medical school. I know you went through medical training and you no longer practice as a physician. I feel a call to do something else, helping people in another way outside of the medical or clinical setting. Is there any truth to this calling, and is there anything that I should listen to when I sense that I may be going down the wrong path, going into medical training and then residency?
There's nothing wrong with anything. If you're moved by something, then you are. There's no right or wrong about it.
Hi. So last time I came in, I asked a question about being in college and finding out what it is that I want to do. Despite I'm already in college, I don't know what I want to do, but I'm here just because I don't want to disappoint my parents. I was wondering, is it possible to intellectually arrive at or find out what you want to do seriously, or intellectually find out what you're serious at? Or is it something that people are naturally born into?
If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. There's no method. There's no method for doing that.
Hello, mate. So basically, a few months ago, I got delved into the whole world of spirituality and religion and things like that. Started doing all the habits and things like that. Got into a proper good routine or whatever. And then after being exposed to your work, I think I must have taken it as an excuse,
by you saying, "Oh, nothing is right or wrong," or "nothing is good or bad," I kind of like fell back into the old ways. So I guess the question is, like, is that just my destiny to be like this? Because like there's days where I'm like, I've had enough of this, blah blah blah, and then there's other days where it's just like, okay, I guess this is who I am, and I'm okay with it. And it's sort of like a not apathetic, but just straight like, all right, type thing. And I guess it's just like, my question is, because I don't want to be like this, but like I know who I want to be, but clearly I don't want it that bad, or I don't actually
Yeah,
want it.
things change and will go up and down. It isn't about applying a word to it, saying this is my destiny, or if it's not, you're in the process of exposing yourself to truth, and you know, whatever happens, happens.
Hi, Kapil. First off, just thank you for being here in the way that you have over all the years. You're the only person I really ever listen to now, and it's strange, like the only person I can really like talk to in these random occurrences about things that I feel are really important to me. But my question, it came to me like a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to ask because it felt it resonated with me. Does all emotional pain stem from desire? Like, I assume a desire for pleasure.
Those questions are intellectual questions. They don't go anywhere, because whether I said yes or no, it's not. Let's say I said yes, you can turn off all your desires. So these questions, they're trivial pursuit. They don't go anywhere.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. My question is truth a constant state of awareness without attaching any cause?
Too didactic, too intellectual.
Let's say I'm trying to get to a destination, but somebody already been to the destination that I'm trying to get to. Asking them for direction, because like the destination I'm trying to get to, I haven't been there, but somebody already been there, and you don't know any, like you don't know anywhere to get there, because sometimes I find myself reading spiritual books, like self-help book, because I don't really know the direction, but I know there's people who's already been there, even though I know they're not gonna give me like the 100% to get there, but I at least I know there's people who's already been there.
What's your question?
So my question is even if I read those books, even if I know it, they're not gonna get me there, but at least I have some sense of direction to see if I can try.
That isn't a question. That's a comment.
Oh.